This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Friday. Welcome into another show on the program today. Eric Gordon Sr. is going to join us. We're going to talk some AAU and the effects of COVID-19 and all that, what's going on. Nick Baumgart's supposed to be joining us, talk some recruiting. Plenty of some stuff to talk about. Todd Leary got some actual sports going on.
Where?
Well, it's you got IU basketball needs another big. That's something we can talk about.
Okay,
that kind of created conversation. But the Big Three, you remember the Big Three tournament? They're still planning to launch in April. We'll talk about that. You got people like Zach Randolph, Greg Oden, DJ Carton's in the transfer portal. Todd Gurley gets released by the Rams, and I wrote this at midnight. I think when I wake up already, he's already signed with the Atlanta Falcons. So he's now Atlanta Falcon already.
He's got to love that. He's got to love that going back home to Georgia.
Heck yeah. The IHSA officially cancels the boys basketball tournament. NBA orders teams to close their facilities. And Leo gets player of the year from Max Preps. Oh, and Romeo teammate Marcus Smart and 2 Lakers coronavirus positive. So lots to talk about. How are you doing other than that? How was the golf game yesterday in that pouring rain?
Yeah, it did not exist. Boy, I tell you, I was like a kid standing at the door with my clubs ready, just waiting on any break in the rain at all, and it didn't come. Mother Nature had other plans for me yesterday. So it involved watching a bunch of movies.
It was a soaker. I have never seen the series Dexter. Did you ever see the series Dexter? It was on Showtime.
It sounds like a scary one.
Well, it actually was. It was kind of cool. He's a forensic scientist for the police, but he's also a serial killer who kills nothing but bad people. But it's 8 seasons long. I'd watched it. I'd heard nothing but great things about it forever. And I'm a series person, but I had too many series in my life, I guess, at that time and never did watch it. But now was the time. Since the cancellation of the Big Ten tournament and now, I have seen all 8 seasons.
Oh, boy. Well, yeah, that's, I'm no better because I have rewatched 6 seasons of Schitt's Creek, and I've already watched them all 2 or 3
What show
times.
is that?
Oh, my gosh. It's called Schitt's Creek. It is one of the funniest series in the world. If you've never watched it and you have to be home binge watching, I strongly suggest Schitt's Creek.
I've seen
SCHITTS.
Yes, it is amazing that they were able to get by with that and because that is one of the most clever program names in the history of television.
It's a riot. I'm telling you. I think it came out and it was kind of semi-hit or whatever, and then all of a sudden it just went crazy. And these guys, the producers and the characters that are on it and all them, they all of a sudden became on everything. So when you see it, you'll know some of the people that are in it. It's just it's funny. It'll get you will not be able to not watch all 6 seasons. I can tell you that.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
And a lot of people are finding that stuff to watch or just talking to people. That's something different. Yeah. But Eric Gordon Sr. is going to join us today. We're going to talk about the effects of COVID-19 on AAU in the summer and the kids' development and the kids being seen, their college opportunities and all that. He of course, runs EG10 Academy there. And, of course, his son, Eric Gordon, plays for the Houston Rockets, former Hoosier. A lot going on there. But they've been around for a while. They run a pretty good camp. Man, I know you're familiar with it.
Yeah, they do.
You're involved in AAU.
And they do it the right way. Yeah, I mean, they are Mr. Gordon is, I think anyone who's been around basketball in the city of Indianapolis for a long, long, long time knows Mr. Gordon and knows what a class program he's in it to to develop players and work with players. I mean, you can obviously tell that that's his love. He's not in it to try to get as many possible teams as you can. It's not about the money. It's about him helping kids and developing players. And he's been a big part of it. I'll be interested. The AAU scene is going to take, it's going to take a big hit as a part of this, because April and May are, more than half of the whole AAU scene. I mean, by June is always reserved for high school basketball. So pretty much all across the country, but especially for sure in the state of Indiana, the month of June is not, there's no AAU basketball that's played in the month of June. You go back and play with your high school programs. Now, if you're 8th grade or under, obviously you continue on with that. But from a recruiting standpoint, when you're talking about the coaches and everything that we see nationally about, the eyeball program, the Nike programs and Under Armour and all that, those all take the month of June off. So April and May are two really, really big months for getting that AAU scene in. And then, it kind of culminates in July with some of the national, the final programs and the final tournaments and the national tournaments happens in July. So, April, I'm sure none of that's going to happen. I would certainly guess, especially since, schools canceled yesterday all the way through at least May 1st in Indiana. So, I mean, I don't know. I'll be interested to hear his take on, I'm sure he's going to say he doesn't know. We have to wait and see, but we'll see what he says.
Yeah, then we've got the Big Three tournament that is one of the tournaments that has started at leagues, summer leagues that started. Greg Oden on a roster, Zach Randolph. I'm actually trying to pull up the rosters.
Yeah, I mean, what's the best way? And I give him credit for this. I'm not blaming him. I give him credit. But what's the best way you can develop a ton of publicity right now is to say your event that's going to happen in April is still on. Yeah. It's still going to happen. And we all probably know the likelihood of that being the case is most likely not going to happen. But I mean, this is the way to get it out there, get everybody to talk about it, because if it's one of the next things that's scheduled to be on and take place, I mean, there's no way they can say, right. Here's the thing. There's no reason for them to cancel it right now because they truly just don't know. But you might as well talk about it like it's going to happen. As of right now, it is still on, I'm sure.
If you pull up the Big Three tournament and you can get to the teams, you have to pull them up individually. But I just pulled the very first one up and looking down, there's Gary Payton. I don't know how old he is, but above him is Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. He's got his beard is all gray.
I think the Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf definitely played last year, but Gary Payton is a coach. I'm pretty sure Gary Payton's the coach of that team.
Yeah, it is. It is listed as a coach. Yeah, Abdul-Rauf. Yeah, he just looks funny to see his gray beard.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. Hey, if anybody needs to self quarantine themselves, it'd be the guys in the Big Three because they're all up there in age.
Oh, I guarantee you, Greg Oden. I mean, man,
he's not that old.
I know he's not, but it's like he seems like it because he could barely get around after those inries immediately.
He's looked 60 since he was in high school.
Yes,
I can say that because he went to my high school and I saw him a bunch there. But he's just always looked older, way older than his age, like way, way older than his age.
How many state titles did Lawrence North win?
With him, 3.
No. Oh, they got 3 with those guys?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I know they got one with you. Do they have any others?
We were the first one. Then they had those 3. And I think they have one more. Shame on me for not knowing what year it was.
That was just a question that just came out of nowhere.
It's a really healthy question. I mean, there's a serious debate you could have this year about Bloomington South versus Lawrence North and which one.
Dude, it's already been in my head because not only that, I agree with you. What about Mr. Basketball between those two?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think Anthony Leal probably should win that or probably will win that. From a team perspective, I don't know that anyone on Lawrence North had a better season than Anthony Leal. I think they're a better team. I think they've got more good players on there.
Not Tony Perkins.
I shouldn't say that. Because Bloomington South has a really good – I mean, Anthony Leal's not the only good player on Bloomington South. So
no.
I take that back.
Yeah, no, you're right, and I agree with you. And you can't. They didn't get to finish. Bloomington South was undefeated. That helps, but they're not playing, as you've mentioned, probably not playing quite the same schedule as Lawrence North. But also, I know they played some good teams because Floyd Central's not in their conference, but they played Floyd Central. They played Silver Creek with Trey Kaufman, and I don't know who else they played, but they were undefeated still. So, I mean,
it would be interesting if they had a net ranking system for high school. It'd be really interesting to see how those two would shake out because the quality of wins that Lawrence North has, I mean, it's not even close. There's not even remotely close. Like I know Bloomington South played some good teams, but the fact that Lawrence North beat Lawrence Central, which is easily a top 5 team.
Didn't they beat them 3 times?
They beat them 3 times. Yeah. I mean, their quality of wins there's so many more quality wins. Now
they're better. They're just a deeper team. They got what, 3 Division I players on that team?
But I mean, I am also the very first one to say, like, we would have all loved to have seen that game because Bloomington South is undefeated. I mean, they have beaten everyone that's on their schedule. You can't ask for more than that. So how can you not argue in for that case of those guys? You know, they beat everyone that's on the roster. What are you going to do?
Here are the matchups we could have had. And Seymour in the regional. Bloomington South matched up with Floyd. They beat them on a last-second shot earlier in the season. If they got by them again, they probably would have been playing Evansville Reitz and Christian Lander, so we would have had a Lander-Leo matchup. Then 2 games later, potentially, if Trey Galloway was able to make it to the state championship, it would have been a Galloway-Leo matchup. So that would have been cool to see those potential matchups.
Well, and this would have been, I mean, we can woulda, coulda, shoulda about so many different topics, but this would have been one of those state tournaments that got back to attendance-wise what it used to be a long time ago. Because there would have just been straight-up Indiana fans there to watch these guys play. And you know, I know that happens – you know, fairly regularly, but when you can get 2 top recruits from the state that are both going to Indiana, or if they were both going to Purdue, you'd get a ton of Purdue fans there, but you would get an abundance of IU fans to go to Bankers Life and watch that state championship.
I guarantee,
including the 2 of us.
Well, we got a lot more coming up here on the program today. Eric Gordon Sr. is going to be joining us. We're going to talk about the effects of COVID-19 and the AAU season this summer and just what else is going on with those guys. Nick Baumgart hopefully joining us as well. We'll talk some recruiting today and plenty of other things to talk about. DJ Carton in the transfer portal. Not at all surprised, but there were some people on – and he's taken a hiatus from social media, Todd, because he said, man, you people are just too rough. So apparently he's gotten some rough ones. And then immediately underneath of that, some douche responds, or maybe too truthful. And so I'm like, all right, what kind of an idiot sends that? So I click on his deal, and it's some dude with a wife and 3 kids in his picture. And I'm like, are you serious? You're tweeting at an 18-year-old kid who
Please tell me he's an Ohio State fan.
He has admitted mental issues he's dealing with. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Please tell me that guy.
He was not an IU fan. I don't know what he was not an IU fan or anything like that, but it was just an idiot. But he got slayed by people immediately from all walks, as he should have. Crazy. But we'll be back with all that and more on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary here on this Friday, joined now by one of our favorites, Mr. Eric Gordon Sr. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Doing fantastic. How are you?
Good. Oh, we're getting by, getting guy. I've got Todd Leary with me as well here today.
Mr. Gordon, how are you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
Man, a lot of craziness going on, Mr. Gordon, in the basketball world. I know you're right in the middle of it because the AG10 Academy, you guys have been around for so long, and it's such an integral part of AAU and all that in this state of Indiana basketball. And we're facing some challenges like never before in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's really a tough time right now for a lot of the high school athletes, the professional athletes, just our community in general. So this is an interesting time. Just everything's different every day.
And I guess the biggest thing is looking forward and I know everybody wants to get back to some kind of normalcy, and when that's going to happen, we don't know, but just getting back to anything. And we've seen like the Big Three tournament, they're hoping to still go forward with a muted version going forward. But the AAU is such an important time for these kids in the summer to be seen and the development and all of that. The impact, I'm worried it's going to be carrying on for quite some time.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough, and it's really challenging. I was just talking to my AAU coaches this morning, and they're, really concerned, worried for the kids. The kids are worried. I think for the most part, of course, the first two live periods have been canceled, and I think more than likely it'll just be a July period, and that's just my guess. I really don't know. But I think July, everything should be cleared up. I know here in Indianapolis, May 1st, kids will be able to go back to school, and I think school will end on the 20th. So they're hoping that things become more normal. I hear there's more information out on maybe a vaccine. So hopefully everything sort of works out.
Mr. Gordon, this is Todd. Hey, I've been a part of the AAU, scene out of Indianapolis for so long with my kids all going through it. And I know from the, high level recruiting standpoint, I know that this April, May, and then the July national periods are what is so important. But the younger kids from the development, that's one of the things about your program I know is so awesome is like the younger kids and the development of what you personally do with a lot of these younger kids. When do you, I'm pretty sure I know the answer is going to be, we're still waiting to see, but I'm just wondering if you have any more information or plan than the rest of us as to when will you be able to get back, involved in working with some of the younger kids, not the high level recruits, but I know you've been integral in Indianapolis and the Jewish Community Center in that area over there for, I can't even guess how many years, but when will you be able to get back involved in working with the younger kids? Because I know that's where it starts, and I know that's where these kids get good when they're older, and the state of Indiana is known for great high school basketball because of people like you and what you're able to do with some of the younger kids. So do you know any plan on when you'll probably be able to get back in that?
That's a tough one. We canceled all of our group workouts and our Vertimax sports performance workouts. And the biggest thing for us is we just want to make sure everybody's safe and that we do our part in making sure the kids understand how contagious and how important it is to just make sure you stay safe. The one thing that, we'll probably start doing is maybe launching some virtual stuff, helping kids so they can start doing some things on their own, when they're at home, maybe go outside, driveway, do some things. But for the most part, I think that the biggest thing is kids just need to try and be active, whether it be doing push-ups, sit-ups, going in their garage or driveway, doing some ball handling drills. That's really important. And you're absolutely right. Here in Indiana, I think we have the greatest basketball, and I think it all starts just because of the grassroots part. I think we're really well organized at that younger level, and that helps kids to continue to develop. But I think the most important thing is, number one, safety, and then number two, kids can do things at home instead of sitting there on their video game and, playing 2K or something. I think the better thing to do is do some sit-ups, do some push-ups, do some ball handling in the driveway. There's a lot of basic stuff they can do. If they are really into their computer, they can Google some ball handling drills. They can YouTube those things. And that helps as well in the interim.
Right. Yeah. I know we all know, obviously, on our listenership, Indiana people, we all know about Eric, and we know where Eric is, and we follow Eric pretty much every game and talk about all the stuff that he does. But I also know that you still have a college-aged student athlete in Aaron that's at Valparaiso. Just because I want to know the information, what's the status with college athletes at this point right now? Is he home? Is he home with you? Is he?
Yeah, he's home right now. He's upstairs taking a nap.
Awesome. You probably had him working out at 5:30 this morning, and he's getting a nap in. I get it.
Yeah, so he's at home right now. They shut down things. Did they? I think last week, what I was asking. And they were thinking of playing in one particular tournament, and that was canceled. So. He's at home, and we'll just, take some rest and then get things revved back up. So, yeah, that's what he's doing. And so, yeah, the college athletes, I've been getting actually a lot of phone calls from a lot of college athletes wanting to know, hey, can we get in the gym? When can we get in the gym?
Right.
And so I basically have just let them know as soon as the opportunity presents itself at the right time, we could do that.
And Mr. Gordon, one of the other things I've thought about with this, all that's going on, is the kids that aren't getting seen by other colleges, the other opportunities. Do you think this is going to obviously affect some opportunities for some of these kids?
Yeah, I think so. I think a couple of things. I think those kids that, let's say they're 2020 graduating class and they haven't had the opportunity to really be seen a lot, and they do have some offers, I think the best thing to do, first of all, is they go ahead and accept that offer. And then the second thing are those kids that haven't been seen a lot. I think the most important thing is the AU program needs to reach out to some of these colleges just to let them know about these kids. I think your AU coach, high school coach, should help intervene and share how that kid is doing, how that kid has done, sort of where that kid wants to go. with some of the schools that are out there. So I know I just got a couple of phone calls yesterday from a couple of colleges, or actually a couple of texts, just saying, hey, just want to, when things open up, be able to reach out and touch bases. And so that's just what, we'll plan on doing as soon as things open up.
One of the other things that has come up is the possibility for the NCAA to grant extended eligibility to spring athletes. And of course, there was talk about the winter because they didn't get to play in their tournaments, but I don't think that that's any feasible way to do that. But what are your thoughts on the eligibility for college athletes being extended? I think just spring.
Yeah, I don't think it makes, I don't think for a winter sport it makes any sense because those players, if you got 4 years and hopefully you got everything done in that 4 years. And I think, the whole season did play out. So the tournament is great. But if you didn't do anything, if you didn't do what you wanted to do in that time frame, then let's prepare and do things in the spring to get ready for whatever you have ahead of you in the future. The spring sports, now that's a tricky one. That really is. But again, if you're a 4-year athlete and this is your 4th year, it's almost, it is what it is. You can't have kids coming into that college and then all of a sudden they don't have those opportunities. They missed out on their spring high school season. So the college student may just have to end up in that same situation as well, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And talking about your son Eric playing for the Houston Rockets, their season obviously upended, and they were having another really good season as well. How is it from that aspect? I know you've talked to him frequently. How are they handling things?
Well, originally, I think they were able to come in and do some workouts. They just shut everything down completely a couple of days ago. So no workouts, no contact, no anything. Stay home. Get your phone call from, coach and trainer just periodically. But I do think for him, I hate for the season to end, but when he had his injury and I felt like, he may have needed to take a couple more weeks to rest. I think now this gives him the opportunity, and I believe it gives all those other players the opportunity to get well rested so they can come back and have a stronger close to the season and have a fantastic playoff. I think that's what's most important. Those guys play a ton of games, and that is really a grind on your body. So to get this kind of hiatus, this rest, I think we'll have a much more interesting playoff run, and they'll probably kick it back off sometime, from my understanding, possibly in June, and then July playoffs, finish up in August, and then start the season back up around Christmas Day.
And we've seen now in the last few days coming out, yesterday it was Marcus Smart with the Celtics, teammate of Romeo Langford, a former Hoosier. The Nets had 4 guys, including Kevin Durant, test positive for this. So the NBA was obviously going to be affected. They made the right decision when they did that. Any concerns by Eric in talking to him about how that, with all these other players testing positive, has he been tested, or does he have concerns to be tested?
All the players have been tested, and everybody, from my understanding, is fine. I know he's fine. So I think for the most part, it is a sensitive issue. I think the most important thing that we, have to keep in mind is that if a person does get that, from my understanding, 97% of all people will be just fine. It's just the immunocompromised people, the elderly, the older folks, like myself. We just got to make sure we take care of ourselves and ensure that, your health is good, because it does attack your immune system.
Yeah, me and Todd are both in that category right there.
Yeah, we're there.
So we just gotta, wash our hands and do the proper thing, and I think everything will be okay. I was in pharmaceuticals for almost 30 years, and the drug that they're looking at right now is a drug that I did sell and introduce to market here in the United States. So I'm a little familiar with it, and it's called hydroxychloroquine, which is Plaquenil, and it's used for all types of different things: rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, as well as malaria. That's the original indication. But it sounds like President Trump has made some opportunities opened up so that drug can be used on some of the current corona patients.
which would be amazing and help stem this thing as quickly as possible. And I think that's what everyone's hoping for is a vaccine, a more testing and all that stuff, which way beyond my pay grade, obviously. But you are someone who is well equipped into that. So it's what a bonus that we have you on today as well. So that's an added bonus. That's hopefully EG10 can get an ample supply. You can use your contacts to get you guys taken care of, man. If you do that, think of me and Todd, please.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Gordon, I can't thank you enough for joining us there today. As always, you're always great, and we really, really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on. Appreciate talking to both of you.
You bet, man.
Thank you,
Have a great day, and we look forward to doing it again. There's Mr. Eric Gordon from the EG10 Academy. Make sure you check all that out that they do, because they're one of the greats in this state of getting that done and taking care of the kids. But we got plenty more to get to on Indiana Sports Beat with Coy and Larry, and we'll be back with it right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
That stupid pause. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. I guess we're on. I can't even see anything.
You're good.
Crazy on this Friday.
It's Friday, man. Come on.
It is.
I'm sure we got what's your big weekend plans?
Oh, let's see. I'm gonna. nothing.
I'm gonna go from this room to that room. Yeah, I'm gonna move my chair and everything. It's gonna be like I'm in a whole new environment.
So a different is there a window nearby?
Yeah, there's a window in there. It's cool.
So you can see outside.
Yep.
Well, that's craziness. It is weird, man. They will make a movie about this. It already seems like we're living a movie.
It's the Twilight Zone. It's Groundhog Day. It's a combination of Groundhog Day and the Twilight Zone.
But we don't have any comedy. I mean, we need some comedy interjected, unfortunately.
Hey, I crack myself up all day long. I don't know about you.
There is that. We just finished up with Eric Gordon Sr. talking about the effects of COVID-19 on the AAU and the kids and all that. Grateful to have him with us.
Gosh,
gave us some hope.
I felt dumber just talking to him, didn't you?
Well, especially at the end when he starts talking about all the medications and
pharmaceuticals, and he's naming drugs that President Trump is talking about opening up. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm out of this conversation. You guys lost me above my PGA, IGA, GED, whatever it is.
DJ Carton in the transfer portal. I guess I'm not totally shocked at that, but there was some people being jerks on social media. So DJ Carton also taking a hiatus from social media. But
okay, all right. So here's my version of that. Okay, when you and maybe there has been communication, and I just haven't seen it or read it. But when you take a leave of absence from a school for a mental health issue, I feel like when you come back, you should give some type of explanation as to how you're doing. Things are, what steps you took to improve that. We said on this show what a serious issue it was when he took a leave of absence, and I still to this day give him an enormous amount of credit for that. But to my knowledge, the next thing that we heard about him was his name in the transfer portal. And I think that's irresponsible on many levels. I think his parents or his coaches or someone should have instructed him to give a little bit of an update on how he's doing. Because now you just have, the Ohio State people should they be mad? Should they be worried about him? You just don't know.
I think you just got to let it go. I mean, it's hard for people too, but I think they just got to let it go and let him go deal with what he's dealing with, man. He went there originally because he wanted to go there. So I think they should just, it's hard. And I understand what you're saying, that there's a lot of things that if someone could just give us a heads up, there was something that just happened a while back and oh my goodness, had they got out in front of it. Oh, it was Fred Hoiberg.
Right.
Had Nebraska's people got out in front of that
and just communicated,
it would have been a simple thing. I think it's the same kind of situation as what
I think you are exactly right. I totally agree with that. And it's literally just a matter of just communicate. I think everyone, including, I'm even going to include Ohio State people in this. And I think everyone would have felt good about the fact that he's feeling better. He's doing better. And all of that. I just think they should have communicated that. If the last piece of communication was he's leaving the team because he needs to go work on his mental health issues, everyone, I didn't find one person that's not supportive of that decision. No. But then the very next thing that we hear about you is your name in the transfer portal. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I hope they just let him go, and I hate that kid to be dealing with that. Now, where does he end up? I think he's going to end up in Iowa personally because that's where he's from. That doesn't mean anything because anybody would love to have him. But yeah, I just think because it's close to home and what he's dealing with, he ends up in Iowa. So and Iowa certainly love to have him. I promise you, they want him the first time.
whatever works best for taking care of his mental health issues should be first and foremost. And if that involves being closer to home, then that's where he should be.
Absolutely. The spring sport athletes, man, that is just a question that I wonder. I think that the NCAA is going to end up giving it to him, but I don't know how it's going to end up.
Well, okay, so but here's the way this rule, at least my understanding of it, and I think I understand it right, is you are given 5 years to compete for 4 years. Right. So all of these athletes could take a quote redshirt year. right?
Not if they've played 4 years. The seniors, not if they've
But
played.
If they played 4 years, no, I'm talking about the spring guys. The
people who
didn't get to compete in their season. That the NCAA technically doesn't really have to give them another
for
year.
Those guys. That's maybe a good point. But what about the guys who redshirted as a freshman or something?
Those would be the ones I think you would have to. I don't have a dog, so it ain't me.
Me either.
Those are not the ones. So wait a minute. If it's not you and it's not me,
exactly,
Jake. But I mean, so that's the ones I think the NCAA would have to make a ruling for and extend and give them another year. And I think the number of athletes that would be in spring sports would probably be not near as big a number as what we all think it might be. So I don't think it's that big of a decision the NCAA would have to do for the spring athletes. Now, I think we just have to deal with it from the guys who got to compete, the winter sports, the fall sports. Unfortunately it stinks, but the season's just over and there's nothing that you can do about that. Unless there was some case-by-case basis where a player had injury. I don't even know what it would be. But the spring athletes, I don't see the 4-year people that have been there for 4 years and this is their senior year. I mean, they all have a redshirt opportunity to stick around for another year, and the NCAA wouldn't even have to – they could all just declare it a redshirt year.
Another big discussion is going to be the Mr. Basketball discussion. We touched on it earlier. To me, it's the hardest year ever because, for one, you got quite a few valued candidates. Obviously Anthony Leal, Trey Galloway, Tony Perkins. You got to forget you can't. There's others as well, but they didn't get to finish. And to me, the tournament is a big part of it. I mean, the best guys usually Mr. Basketball is in the Final Four, a lot of the time, if not on a state championship team. So they're not going to have that stuff to go by to finalize it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
The person from the geographical area that has the most amount of votes that won't have a split decision will win, the way that it always works out. So anyone from Southern Indiana, if there's one candidate from Southern Indiana, he'll win.
Do you count Anthony Leal as being in Southern Indiana and Bloomington?
Yep. Based on because of where the teams that he plays against. So everyone from New Albany, Columbus, that area. Who's the candidate south of Indianapolis? Name all the candidates in your mind south of Indianapolis.
South of Indianapolis,
and obviously
probably.
Christian Lander doesn't count because he's just a junior.
You're right, and Trey Galloway doesn't count because he's a junior. So I mean, Anthony Leal is. I'm trying to think of it.
Trey Kaufman, you meant.
Kyron Powell is Powell in Evansville, maybe. I mean that's about it.
And I'm just sort of being facetious, but I'm basically saying almost everyone in Southern Indiana is going to vote for Anthony Leal. In Indianapolis, there are going to be some people that vote for Tony Perkins. There's going to be some people that vote for Anthony Leal. There's going to be some people that vote for Trey. The votes will be split up. Trey Galloway, I meant, not Trey Kaufman. But I mean, the votes will be split up in that regard. In my opinion, this is just purely my opinion. I'm open for discussion to anybody. I'm just saying I think Anthony Leal will win it based on most of the people from Southern Indiana that do vote will vote for Anthony Leal.
Yeah, and there's also the IU connection, and that's it's a very real thing.
Sure, it is.
He's going to Indiana, and it carries weight now. And this is unbelievable to me. Indiana has never landed 3 straight Mr. Basketballs. That's well known now, but that shocks me that has not happened ever. But it's a possibility of happening now, a great possibility. If Anthony Leal wins it, it will happen. Or Trey Galloway, but I don't know that Trey has as good a shot, although he probably should. He's been to 2 back-to-back state championships, won one of them, and that was in a different class, then got moved up to another class and was still favored to get to the state title. So yeah, he probably isn't getting the notoriety that he should.
So is that the question? Do you think he would get the majority of the votes from Northern Indiana?
Great point. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then you've got Tony Perkins in Indianapolis, right in the middle.
Right. And you're going to have you're going to have a portion of those coaches that that still will vote for the Trey Galloways and the Anthony Leos. They'll vote the way it's supposed to be voted based on, here. And I'm not blaming coaches. So if you're a coach from Columbus East, for example, and I am picking a school straight out of the air, but I'm picking a school that's also on the schedule of Anthony Leal and not on the schedule of Tony Perkins and Lawrence North or Lawrence Central or Trey Galloway at Culver or any of those. So if you're one of those coaches and you had Anthony Leal play against you for a couple of years, doesn't it only make sense that's the person you would vote for? That's the only person that's on the ballot that you basically have played against. Wouldn't that probably be the person you would vote for? It probably would be for me. I'm just stating human nature.
Yeah.
But it probably would be, unless there was a candidate that was like a Sean Kemp or a Damon Bailey or somebody like that was just so much better than everyone else. It was obvious that person would be Romeo Langford. I mean, you got a case like that, then I would say that person's going to win. They're going to get votes from the very northern part of the state. No matter what part of the state they're in, they're going to get votes. I don't think this year is that way. And that is no discredit to Anthony Leal. I am super excited he's coming to IU as an IU fan. But I'm just saying there is no clear-cut winner of this thing.
No, I agree with you. And I think it's made more difficult this year because the tournament was canceled. And because we would have gotten to see some of these matchups. We would have seen a Leal Lander matchup for sure, I think. Well, I can't say for sure. Floyd Central could have beat them just as easily. Very possibly we could have seen a Lander-Leal matchup. That would have been cool because they probably would have guarded each other at some point, if not a good portion of that game. That would have been a very awesome game to see. Then we could have had a Leal or Lander Galloway matchup for a state championship.
And the funny part is in a matchup like that, them guarding each other. Okay, as an IU fan, like I'm telling you, I don't want them to guard each other for one, because I want to see how good their offense is. Like I want to see them score the basketball. And I do not want this to turn into a one-on-one battle back and forth of who can guard the other guy. We'll teach him how to guard somebody when he gets here. I want somebody that can score the basketball right now. And so that's all I got to say about that.
Tim texted in, said that Lander wants number 22 for his college jersey. And I think did we not talk to
Jordan
Geronimo, and he wants number 22. But then on top of that, he says that Jaquez Henderson wore number 22 this year, who's a walk-on. Do scholarship players get seniority on jersey numbers?
Yes, 1,000% for sure. That is not – look, if you're a walk-on and you're in that situation, any walk-on you could name, you will do whatever you need to do to be on that team. And if they tell you got to wear number 752, you would wear it. It does. The number doesn't make it. People read more into the numbers. One of those players coming in might really want to wear number 22, and the other one coming in might want number 22, but he really doesn't care if he has number 23 or number 21 or number 24. Like, truly, I wanted to wear number 30 because I wore number 30 in high school because of Ted Kitchell. If they would have told me, hey, you got to wear number 37, I would have worn number 37. Like, it's not that big a deal.
Well, it's like Romeo goes to Celtics. I promise you 45 was not the number in his head. I get it. And I got to be honest with you. I'm like, why the hell did they give him 45? I mean, his position is not a 45 number. I don't think.
There is no 45 number. Was he a fullback?
Like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, it's just 45. It's like,
but
it feels bulky. That's just the way. It's too much numbers. It's weighing the jersey down.
It started a long time ago with guys trying to pick a unique number and something different. And there's only so many choices. The NBA has a broader range of numbers you can choose from. I can tell you, when you come to Indiana, they ask you, like, they asked me what number I wanted. I wanted number 30. It was available, so they gave it to me. I can assure you, if Damon Bailey my next year would have come in and said, "Oh my gosh, I really would like to have number 30," I'd have given him number 30. Nobody really cares that much that I ever played with. I mean, I'm sure there are guys who might, but nobody I ever played with really. If somebody went to Calbert Cheney in his senior year and said, if Cody Zeller came in and said, "Hey, Calbert, I'd really like to wear number 40," Calbert would give it to him. He doesn't care.
I'm going to call BS on that one.
I'm telling you, Calbert would not have cared.
I think you may be happy today.
Better, Calbert had done it. I can promise you.
I'm working on a golf game for you today, by the way.
Okay, all right, I'm in.
I know.
Is he distanced enough? He's finally distanced enough.
I'm telling him so we can social distance at the same time. Don't worry.
I'll wear a helmet.
Maybe. It has to be one of those full face helmets in with the face mask
I
on
will
it.
borrow someone's motorcycle helmet and wear it over
We're talking about simulated golf because that's the only thing that we got to do. Uncle Andy has a simulator, but getting him to schedule is always not the easiest. So we're working on that, though. We're working on that. But, it's just so much going on in that regard. I'm glad there's just stuff to talk about because there for a few days there was nothing. And then the NFL kind of kickstarted with draft stuff and trading and all that and kind of loosen people up a little bit and talk about other stuff. The big three, their plans to go in April, which now we talked about that earlier. But they're planning on going through with some type of reality style deal. Let me pull that back up.
Who is
the big three tournament? It's a reality style.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. It was weird. Let's see. It was on CNN yesterday. Does Mark Cuban have to do with it? Because there's Mark Cuban right there.
You're going to have a virtual 3-on-3?
Well, it's let's see. Where'd it go?
This is great radio.
It is. Because I had it pulled up and I lost it. But I didn't understand what they meant by, and I didn't have time to read it, but they're obviously going to be doing this without spectators and whatnot. So, but they're saying they're going off on April 11th. I don't know that they can make it happen or not.
No chance. Absolutely zero chance. But, just think
I don't see it. But now, depending on if testing changes, if they can get the guys tested, then they're going to go through with it. That's the thing. If everyone's going to be tested, and then they're hoping to be able to go through with it in that style.
Yeah, that'd be great. But I just don't see I don't know. I hope it's been such a long week. Think about this. We're 1 week and 1 day into the Big Ten tournament being canceled. That's a long week, and it just seems like
wait a minute. Per Yahoo Sports, the players who would have tested negative for the coronavirus would be quarantined in Los Angeles in a large home. A court would be on site. And cameras would show the action as well as the daily life of the players, giving it a reality show feel.
I love it.
There you go. So now your tune has changed.
I think the entire NBA. I said what I said a while back is they should start testing all these players, and as soon as they test negative and they're fine, we quarantine everybody into a pre-sterilized hotel. And we get a gym that's attached to it. So you get something that's got like a convention center type feel to it where you can walk straight from one to the other. You don't have to interact with any people. We can even make a tunnel. You get straight over there. We get 10 referees that are all test negative. We get everybody in there. You want to talk about, we would all watch this continuously all day long.
Ice Cube's running this deal. It's his baby. Should anyone break quarantine conditions, the player would be eliminated from competition and removed from the site.
Eliminated. Yeah, they could even next to the house. They could even have a strip club. Have all those girls tested negative for the coronavirus. So these guys
giving it a real NBA feel, right?
These guys will feel more at home. It'll be you said reality show.
You got it.
A real reality show.
That would absolutely give it a real.
All these NBA players that tested positive. Do we not figure out what strip club they all visited? Because that's probably who we need to go test first.
There is that.
You're not even jumping into this conversation.
I am not. I know exactly. You're not wrong, but yeah. You
as soon as you said reality TV show, that's the first thing that went through my mind.
Man, that's going to be hilarious. And the fact, do you know how big those ratings would be if they actually can do this? Because there is nothing freaking. This would be like 1980 when there's 3 networks and you have 3 choices to watch on TV.
I saw a thing yesterday where they said like WLKY, is that Louisville station or that station down there by you?
That's right. Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow from 4 to 6 is playing the 1992 Duke IU Final Four game.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, pull that up. If so, I mean, Fred should have got you on to talk to you about it, man.
I saw. That's
the station I worked at in Louisville. That's where I started my TV career. Was at WLKY.
Saw an advertisement, and then where they told you had a face for radio.
Exactly. I learned that quickly. We got a lot more coming up on the show today. Hopefully, talking to Nick Baumgart. If not, I'll get Kevin Brockway on to talk about yesterday's press conference with Scott Dolson being announced as the new athletics director for Indiana. But we got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle and Leary with you on this Friday, March 20th. Stay tuned. We're back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe. Effective. Even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Hey, it's Michael Lewis, former Indiana University player and current UCLA assistant basketball coach, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Friday. Coyle Leary with you now, joined by our good friend Kevin Brockway from CNHI Papers. Kevin, how are you?
Good morning.
How are you doing, man?
I think we're all hanging in there, right? Just trying to heed the warnings, staying at home as much as possible, and hoping that this situation ends sooner than later.
Absolutely. How's the social distancing going?
Good. I don't have too many friends anyway, Jim, so I don't think it really. I just moved to Indiana, right? So I don't really have too many people to socialize with. So I'm doing fine. I'm just hanging out at home, watching Breaking Bad, doing work when I can. At least Indiana's given us a little bit to write about this week.
Yeah, Todd said that apparently that maybe a station in Louisville is replaying the 92 Indiana Duke game, which if that's the case, I've got to get in on that action to pull that up, but hopefully so. But, other than that, we got to take what we can get right now. But yesterday, of course, was the introductory press conference of sorts for Scott Dolson as the new athletics director for Indiana, all done on a conference call. But he answered questions, met with reporters for the first time, and a lot of people happy with the hire. Scott's a great guy. He's been around the program for so long. It's something looks like he was groomed for.
Yeah, obviously, and he discussed a lot about his love affair with Indiana. He's a guy who grew up in Michigan City, northwest part of the state, and also talked a little bit about Delray Brooks, too, about his friendship with Delray, who is a, former McDonald's All-American, who came to Indiana 2 years and then, of course, transferred to Providence and with Billy Donovan helped lead Providence to the Final Four. So that was kind of interesting how that friendship kind of fostered his starting as a basketball manager at Indiana and really his career from there in athletic administration. But I think Scott is the right man for the job at the right time, particularly with I think the uncertainty that's going on in the world, to go with someone that's in-house, I think is probably a good call.
Yeah, Todd is very, very familiar with Scott. They go way back. He's known it because of Scott's involvement in the basketball program. Of course, he left as manager right about the time you were arriving, Todd. Isn't that right?
Yeah. No, he graduated the year before I got there, and I know if you look at his resume, he talks about working for Tim Knight Enterprises for that 1 year in between there. And so that put him really close with our AAU team. And, Tim was responsible for putting on all of our, national tournaments that we all played as the 7 recruits coming in. So, I got to know Scott pretty well in that regard and have known him ever since then. And, it's interesting. I keep wanting to hear people's opinions that do not think this is a good hire because, so far the only argument I've heard from anyone is they should have had Chris Reynolds because he's part of the basketball program. And I'm like, you people, those people really show they have no idea, the pulse of IU and what's going on because Scott could not possibly be a more groomed, better person to take over this position. And I think that we'll look at this years from now and look at Scott as being, one of the guys that did the best job as an athletic director at Indiana that of anyone we can come up with.
Yeah. And what a time to be taking over a position like that. It's certainly a unique time for sure with the coronavirus, all this stuff, sure. Canceling all the sports. Kevin, it's just, I don't know how you come into a position like this. It's kind of similar for Kevin Warren, the new commissioner of the Big Ten. I mean, all these guys are coming in and then bam, they've got a lot of stuff to deal with just in the nature of what they're doing. And then you throw the craziest thing of our lifetime on top of it. That's a way to start a new job, man.
Yeah, no question. But I think the thing is now with Scott and Fred, they'll be kind of working in tandem, obviously, until Scott takes over the position. I believe it said July 1st. And even then, I think Fred is going to be around till the end of the summer. So you've got two guys working in tandem there, as they have pretty much for the last 11 years. So I think they're both going to try to come up with creative solutions. I know that, Scott mentioned yesterday, too, being on conference calls with other Big Ten athletic directors, and they're all kind of bouncing ideas off, one another, how to handle this situation. And as you know, they've discussed The idea of the traders doing, virtual trading through Zoom, because really, this situation, and Todd could probably speak to this as an athlete, not having access to the gym and the facilities. I mean, I think it would be a challenge for athletes keeping in shape this time of year, and so that when, competition does restart, whether it's, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, to avoid those kind of injuries or things that could happen, if your body was sedentary. So I'm sure that they have a plan in place for the athletes to at least, try to work out on their own.
Yeah, this time of year, in regards to that, from a basketball perspective, every sport's different because your timing and season's different. But, this is the bulk up time of year, and this is where you're drinking the 2,000 calorie milkshakes a couple times a day, and you're heavy in the weight room, and you're doing all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, from that type of development, and truly missing a month or 6 weeks of this is not going to have much of an impact on players' abilities next season in basketball. Football, very easily might. I mean, think about a football player not having the ability to be able to be in the weight room, for 6 weeks right now. That could definitely have an impact. But from a basketball perspective, it's really the timing on this, missing the NCAA tournament and all those things. I mean, these guys would not be working on their heavy weight training, for another month or so anyway. So they're really, from next season's perspective, not missing out on anything.
And then we saw, you got the spring athletes, but everything has been canceled. So, but everyone has to stay in shape. Everyone has to continue doing what they're doing. And you mentioned it, Kevin, with all the facilities. Even the NBA has now ordered all facilities shut down. And normally they would just go to another gym or whatever. They can't do that because everything is shut down. It's going to be difficult for people, even when we come back. It's going to take a minute to get back to where we were. I mean, athletics or just life in general.
Yeah, Jim, it's a scary time. I mean, let's face it, for everyone in terms of just the not knowing. I think that's the biggest factor, and I talked to, Cam Cameron this week about the last time kind of sports shut down at 9/11. And then you were kind of waiting for sports to come back when it was appropriate. But here, I think the difference is you're just kind of waiting, and you don't know from a health standpoint, when sports or when things can get back to normal. So I think that uncertainty definitely is probably, creating a little anxiety in the sports world. And let's hope and let's pray that, we kick this thing sooner than later.
Yeah, that would be fun because we're resorted to the NCAA tournament being played out with the BPI and Lenardi or whatever else, whoever else is doing it. There's one on. Someone just sent me something. A listener sent me something to vote on for. There's Sweet 16 games going on right now. I just voted on Indiana Texas Tech game, and that's what you're reduced to, or watching Caddyshack or whatever else we can find, or you mentioned Breaking Bad or whatever else. But it's certainly maybe we could getting to visual games. I know that who was it? Tim texted in earlier about a lot of NASCAR drivers are getting on these simulators, and I don't know if they're driving against other fans or against each other, but they actually use those simulators for training. So that would be funny if we saw a NASCAR race through simulator. And I could see that happening now.
Sports withdrawal. It's interesting because there are a lot of fans out there that are getting antsy. And I don't know about you. I mean, I guess the sports reruns are serving an appetite. I'm just not a huge fan of them because I feel like, the great thing about sports is you don't know the ending, right? And, with these, how these games are going to end. Granted, they're classic games, but different people have different tastes for it. So it's interesting that people can, I guess, kind of look back and reminisce at some of the great games, and certainly for Indiana fans, you have a lot to choose from. So I'm sure people will be on their TVs this weekend. It's just not for me.
The biggest thing for Indiana fans is all it does is remind them how good they used to be. I mean, because they were great.
It's just such a. I'm with you, Kevin, in that, and I don't like watching replays of older games and things that where I already know the outcome and what's going to happen. And, but I mean, it right now, this is what I was just saying a little while ago. I mean, we've been in this for 1 week. 1 week and 1 day, and it seems like 3 months already. So people are going to start to have to get more creative in what they watch. And I think more people will probably watch Breaking Bad than they will, an old version of the 1981 Indiana basketball season. But it's just strange. We've never dealt with this before, and we'll come out of it. Everybody will survive getting through the sports part of this.
Yep, sir. Kevin, I can't thank you enough for joining us, man. I appreciate you while you're in your hiatus and your social distancing.
Yep. Well, just kind of hanging out here in beautiful Bloomington, and maybe I'll treat myself to a little takeout, go to Buffalo's or something tonight. We'll see.
I appreciate the shout out. That's a great thing. I need to ask every guest that. Where are you getting takeout from today? That should be. I'm gonna start doing that question. A great one. You started it. You're going to Buffalo's. Love that. Get some extra wings for us. We could eat some of those. Yeah. How you like? What's that? Yeah. We got our specific sauce that we get now that Todd discovered.
I know. I can't remember what it's called now. It's been so
barbecue,
long.
Sweet barbecue. It's
I can't.
a good one.
I'm spacing it. I can't remember.
Well, enjoy. I don't care what you get. Just get us a bunch of wings. We'll eat them. I don't care. But thanks a lot for joining us, man. We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
You betcha. There's Kevin Brockway from CNHI joining us here talking about everything. Anthony Leo, Player of the Year from Max Preps. That Max Preps did that for all 50 states. Now we're waiting to see. I saw something on the Mr. Basketball. They're going through with all that process right now, I think, as that has started. So that'll play out. We'll see who ends up with that.
Yeah, I saw the ballots. I think I saw something that said the ballots went out.
So I think April. Is it April or May they make that announcement? I can't remember.
Not sure.
But sooner or later. But appreciate Mr. Eric Gordon Sr. joining us on the program today, and as well Kevin Brockway, and as always, the great Todd Leary. Thanks to Jake for keeping us on the track. I guess that'll wrap it up for us until Monday. And until then, we're going to play some simulated golf. You have a great weekend. I'll see you on the radio.